Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing an audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on Game 5 of the Pro League playoffs between STX Seoul and OnGameNet Sparkies. This is being played on Blue Storm between Leta and Cal. Leta is the Terran player at the bottom left hand corner of the map, and Cal is the Protoss player at the top right hand corner of the map. Cal needing to win this for STX. STX are down 3-1 at this point in time, so a must-win situation. Cal in purple, and if he doesn't pull out the win here, they will be going on to the Pro League playoffs. Cal has been a strong feature for STX this season. The only problem for him is that he has lost to Leta already, and in a match which he was expected to win comfortably, and he was trounced by Leta. Leta playing Terran in the brown, who's been on an impressive 6-0 winning streak in the Pro League this season. Incredible record for this young Terran player, and a player who hasn't had much fanfare about him, except for his recent escapades, which has really cast him into the limelight. And if he can close out the win here for his team and take them through to the next round of the Pro Leagues, he will certainly grow in stature. Sending that SCV out to scout, getting his supply depot down at the choke between, or just north of the choke between his main and his natural expo. He's actually blocking off the entrance, so he's actually trying to deny the scout, so he might be looking to expand quickly here. Meanwhile, Cal has put down the gateway. It's interesting to me that we're seeing a Protoss versus Terran matchup on this map. I would have figured that this map is ideal for a Zerg player, and that, you know, I think it shows the lack of depth of Zerg players in these teams, that we don't have a Zerg playing, because obviously they're forced to keep their Zergs in reserve for the 2v2s, since this is the best of 7 and they're only allowed to use one Zerg per match. Except for the ace match, and indeed we see a blocking going on by Leta is blocking his choke and sending his SCV out to scout. Meanwhile, Refinery going up, so I thought he was going to expand, but doesn't look like he's doing that. It'll be interesting to see how this game pans out between these two guys. Both players have a good record, but obviously Leta with a slight advantage. Cybernetics core down, so both players looking like they're teching to start, with Cybernetics core going down for Cal. This is Blue Storm. It is one of my favorite maps. We've seen some great games of StarCraft, especially from Zerg players like Jaedong and Xavier, and that's why I'm a little bit disappointed that we aren't seeing. And looks like Leta might be going for some sort of a crazy build here. It looks like he's hiding his SCV at the top left-hand corner of Cal's base, and he might be looking to build maybe his factory, and that's why he's closed off his choke, because he doesn't want his opponent to scout and kind of assume that the factory is going to be behind that choke, when in fact he's going to try and build a factory in the Protoss base. Obviously, the good thing for Cal is that he's getting that Cybernetics core up, so he's going to have Dragoons up anyway, so he should be in a decent-ish position to deal with this. Okay, so factory actually being built. I thought he was going to build a factory inside his opponent's base, but it looks like he's building the factory inside his main. Maybe he's going to build a second factory there. Either way, I'm not sure how effective this is going to be, or maybe he's just hiding the SCV there so that he can get a scout later on and get an advanced knowledge of his opponent's tech, which will definitely give him good information, and I'm surprised that more Terran players don't try to do that. Although this is a map where we have seen cheese like this before, I wouldn't be surprised. And it looks like Cal might actually scout this. He is scouting with his probe within his base just to spot something like this. And I'm not sure actually if he moved away out of range of that SCV. I'm not sure if he actually got line of sight on that SCV or not. He might not have seen it. We'll know now if the Dragoon moves towards it. The Dragoon seems to be moving towards that SCV, so Cal has spotted it. So this gambit of Leta is certainly not going to pay off. I guess he was just hiding that SCV there to try and get a scout off. Cal aware to the possibility. So clever play by both players. Meanwhile, Cal has sent that Zealot down just towards that Marine, and he's going to try. He's obviously blocked out the Marine, able to sneak through between the gap between the supply depot and the cliff, but the Zealot unable to go through. Meanwhile, it looks like Leta, having got that factory in and secure enough in his knowledge of Cal's tech, has decided to now start his command center. So one fact into command center for Leta. It'll be interesting to see how Cal responds. Cal, meanwhile, has got his Citadel of Adon up. Perhaps we might be seeing a DT drop here. I wouldn't be surprised if Cal decided to go potentially for a DT drop. The problem for Cal is that he doesn't have any scouting information against Leta, and we've said this time and time again for Bisu, but I think it holds true for all Protoss players. Machine Shop worrying away, wouldn't be surprised if we were seeing siege tech being researched. Robotics facility going down for Leta and Citadel Odin, so my guess is that we will be seeing that Templar archive sooner rather than later. And I have a guess that the Templar Archives is going to go down now as soon as the Citadel is complete, and it looks like there is a pro position exactly for that. So Templar Archives now going down for Cal, and he's also started up a second gateway, so that would suggest that we're going to see DT drops coming from Cal. Not surprising, considering the choice of strategy that his opponent has chosen to go for. It might actually play to Cal's advantage slightly, because Leta has gone for that command center, but I think Leta probably will be clever enough to get that engineering bay down or get an academy up in anticipation of what his opponent might do. He's managed to work that SCV around and actually get almost sneak past the Dragoon to get a scout in Cal's base. Cal sending a probe out, not just enough. Leta just pushing out with a siege tank and a couple of Marines, putting a little bit of pressure on Cal, anticipating the Dragoons to come in, which is why he went for the siege tank first and got the siege tanks out and walled off his choke, but they never came from Cal. So Leta has put himself in a fairly comfortable position now, and Cal, I'm not sure, he's going to be relying very heavily on this DT drop to do significant damage on his opponent, because without it, he's really going to struggle. So far, he's done a good job of denying his opponent the scout. 2 siege tanks with Marines moving out. The advantage for Cal is going to be that if those Marines are away from Leta's base, that's going to make it that little bit easier for him. Obviously, if Leta does have spider mines, he's going to have a slightly better time defending against. And it looks like Cal is actually going to be able to get the scout into Leta's base. He's got the Zealot there, so Leta's going to be forced to. And I think that might actually not work in Cal's. I think he would have been better off keeping Cal's troops closer to his end of the base, because that would allow him to go with the DTs into Leta's base and surprise him. I think that SCV might just have seen that shuttle. That SCV managed to sneak past. Not really great by Cal. He really should have blocked it, and that shuttle is now being intercepted. Shuttle running right into the enemy, so he's been forced to reveal his DTs to Leta's advancing forces. He's going to be able to stop this attack. Meanwhile, Leta has got actually spider mines. I thought he was going to get siege tank first, but he's got spider mines, so he's going to be comfortable in terms of defending against those DTs. Those siege tanks waltzing straight into Cal's base. Obviously, Leta realizing that he's not, and straight away engineering bay has actually probably started earlier. It's almost complete now, so he's just buying himself a little bit of time from those DTs. But I think this is a mistake by Cal. Relatively clever by Leta. Leta has lost 2 siege tanks significantly and Marines to those DTs, but the key here is the economy, and Leta's economy untested so far, considering the fact that he started his command center fairly early on. But now he's got the DT in Leta's base. A couple of DTs harassed from vultures in Cal's base meanwhile, but decent multitasking and micro by Cal, and he's actually inflicting significant damage now on Leta. He's managed to take out a couple of SCVs. He's preventing Leta from getting the turret down, and brilliant by Cal, he lures the spider mine straight into a line of SCVs and manages to pick off about 4 or 5 SCVs with that, doing significant damage to Leta's economy. He's really laying the hurt on there, so he's definitely put himself in a decent position, and this is exactly what STX would have been hoping for. Now the turret's up. That shuttle looks like it might get taken down. The last hit from the turret kills the shuttle, so he loses the shuttle. Otherwise he would have been able to continue to harass and harangue his opponent. He hasn't been able to do that. He has done decent damage on that drop, as well as taking out the 2 siege tanks and the Marines, but the big question is it enough, considering the fact that Leta has been macroing away from those 2 command centers. Now he's got the academy up as well. The academy hidden away at the top left-hand corner of the base, trying to avoid it from being stopped by the DTs. Unfortunately for Leta, because unfortunately for Cal, I think Leta once again sneaking through with the 3 vultures. This might prove disastrous for Cal, and spider mine's going down. I don't think Cal has got anything to detect this, so he's trying to use the DTs to cancel out spider mines, but now he's going to take significant. He has got a photon cannon actually to defend those probes. I thought he was going to take significant damage to his economy, but a well-positioned photon cannon is going to allow him to defend relatively. But those vultures are now able to hit those probes. And this is not good for Cal at all. He really should have intercepted those vultures. Those vultures snuffed through by Leta into Cal's base. Cal now has the observer out. Meanwhile, Leta taking the expo at the 9 o'clock position. And I still feel that despite the damage that Cal has done, Leta's still in a decent position in this game. And you've got to give a lot of credit to Leta. By pushing his forces into Cal's base, he forced Cal to commit some DTs to defending that. And therefore, Cal wasn't able to make as significant an attack at Leta. If Cal had both those DTs that he was forced to use for defense, if he had a couple more of them actually in Leta's base, he would have been able to do a lot more damage. But so far, fairly even matchup. Leta's definitely cancelled out the damage that Cal did to him by getting those 3 vultures through, and he's killed a significant number of probes and equalized that damage. And considering that he's had his command center up longer than Cal has had his natural secondary up, you would probably say that in terms of economy, Leta is probably in a slightly stronger position. Looks like he's also put a Spider-Man down by the expansion, meanwhile, that Cal has taken at the 3 o'clock position. So both players trading blows back and forth. An exciting matchup and probably deserving for what could be the determining matchup of this round. Again, a must-win game for Cal here. He cannot afford to slip up or his team will be out of the Pro League playoffs, and how disappointing would that be for the OSL champion also in his team, who unfortunately hasn't really had a chance to display his skills to the full effect in this matchup. Cal now just clearing out the spider mines from around his, and once again losing an observer to that turret. He also lost a shuttle, which I felt he could have probably saved had he been a little bit more on top of his game. Armory going up, and Cal obviously one of the premier Protoss players playing right now, along with Shuttle and Best. Shuttle though still needing to do a little bit more to make a name for himself, and I do feel that these aren't the most exciting times for Protoss. Best obviously has been exciting, but unfortunately after his downfall in dramatic fashion to July, Protoss fans are once again left ruining their allegiance to the Protoss race. Meanwhile, both players now getting their macro up and going. Another attempt by Leta to sneak a vulture through. I have to say that probably you would have to give the lead